When Einstein was 4 years old, his parents became concerned because the serious concern was that he might be mentally retarded because he was so slow with thinking. So we need to have that courage to go into that unknown place. And what is that unknown place? Which is not a place. It's not to impose immediately interpretations on the world and on situations and on people and whatever arises. So to be able to just look at things, look not just visually, but look in, also used metaphorically, which means to give attention to whatever is here now, and to feel the power of your attention itself, which is intelligence, like a light that shines on a situation or on a person, and to feel that inherent power of consciousness that flows is not produced by you, it comes through you. Then you feel an enormous amount of so-called self-confidence. Not egoic self-confidence, but you are connected with, you can feel there's a power at the depths of who you are, and that power can flow into this moment. And it is there when you give your fullest attention to something and you're not thinking about it. You're just looking, you're just giving attention. It could be a situation, a person you're looking at, whatever it is. You're just there as a field of attention, of awareness. And so you are the bringer of awareness. And that flows from a deep place that is far transcends who you are as this physical form. That deep place connects you not only with others, all other humans, it also connects you with the source of all life. And so you are not disconnected, you just seem to be, and the ego is a disconnected sense of self. You are not disconnected from the totality of the universe. You are an aspect of the totality of the universe. You are not autonomous. That's the delusion, that every person is considered to be an independent consciousness, whereas the truth is every person is an expression of the one consciousness. So when you can feel that one consciousness as presence within yourself, you don't go around in continuous anxiety anymore. What's the next thing that's going to upset me? And of course it always comes. So in other words, a certain confidence comes in that is not based on anything that you have perhaps achieved on the level of form. It's not confidence because you have an important position. It's not confidence because you have accumulated wealth. Not confidence because other people think you're great. Or not confidence because you have a certain ability that you have developed that you're better at than most people. Usually those things, or you look better than most people, or at least above average. Either good looks or you have a great body. So all those things could give you your sense of confidence. So a person who is very good looking would gain most, unless there are other factors where that person is even more remarkable, but in the absence of other factors, the good-looking person would predominantly gain self-confidence from looking in the mirror and seeing other people's reactions to who they are, which could be admiration and envy, depending on who is looking at you. And the ego would quite love that. It loves admiration and envy. And so you feel confident because you're so good and good looking. And that could last for a few years. And then it gets shaky because good looks don't last indefinitely. And that's just one example. But whatever it is, it could be wealth, it could be what other people think of you. So you derive confidence from some source, but it's always very shaky. And you may lose it when in certain situations. For example, the person who is confident because of their good looks might suddenly no longer be confident, surrounded by people who are intellectuals or have a lot of knowledge, and suddenly that person feels, I feel so stupid. And so confidence collapses. So, and we often have examples of people who seem to have everything. They should have a lot of confidence. They were born into wealth, they look relatively good, they've had a good education, conventional terms, and yet even that for many people is not, they still feel, I'm not really good enough. And they can't quite explain why. So for some people those external things work, and for many others even those don't work. So the real self-confidence is only there when you transcend the self. So we can then drop the word self, and then you have true confidence. And confidence means trust. And trust means absence of fear or anxiety, or a sense of not good enough, or a continuous compulsion to compare yourself to others, which makes life very uncomfortable. You always look around in others. So the true confidence is not really self-confidence. The self, because there is the self, which is one name we can have for ego. The moment you're not thinking, but you are just a presence, where is the self? Where is the ego? It's gone. It's only when you start thinking again about yourself and your problems, then there's the self. Well, not always problems, but often. But when you start thinking about yourself and your life situation and so all the things you're dealing with, there's the self. And what you have and what you don't have, and what you can do and what you cannot do, and what you are aspiring to, and what you are proud of and what you regret and what you feel guilty about, and all those things that make up the egoic self, that can be transcended in an instant if you stop thinking. And then suddenly there's only that presence, and then you're connected with the deeper. And then at first it comes in glimpses, and then you are connected to the source of intelligence and power and aliveness, and then you suddenly feel very confident. And we can't quite say why, because if a person asks you, why are you confident? You're not particularly good at anything. You don't look particularly great. You have no wealth. You haven't got that much of an education. And why are you feeling so confident? And you would say, I don't know. Ultimately, confidence means absence of fear. And the spiritual word for confidence in spiritual terminology would be faith. That is the real meaning of faith. Faith is not to have a belief in a particular story. That's often people think faith is the same as belief. So if you believe in this particular story, even the story that there is a God somewhere who protects you, it's still a story. And you might have faith in the story that there is a God somewhere who looks after you. It's fine. It's probably a bit more comfortable to have that than to have the belief that there is no God who looks after you in the absence of anything else. Slightly better to have the belief there's a God who looks after you, but that's going to be very shaky when something bad happens to you, because you had a deal. You had a deal with God, and you had all that faith, and what has he done for you? He was supposed to look after you. Was he asleep when that bad thing happened? So it often happens that people who say they have faith, they go to church, but when something really bad happens, it gets very shaky suddenly. Sometimes they lose their faith, sometimes they take refuge again and find some explanation. They say, well, the traditional explanation is, well, he's punishing me for my sins. That's it. And then the story works again. So you have repaired the story. But so that is what is conventionally called faith. But true faith is the absence of fear and is not derived from a story. It is derived from a deeper place within yourself.